Hey, what's going on? My name is Bill, also known as Sub-Zero. I run Lifting the Veil IT Academy. And if you are trying to find out how to be a data analyst in 2026, then I'm your guy. I have at least 16 to 17 years of tech experience. I've been a database developer. I've worked as a business intelligence developer. I've also been a data analyst. And if you're trying to find a roadmap to be able to get to the job that you're looking for, then look no further. In this video, I will explain step by step what you need to do to be prepared, to be competent, and ready to interview. All right, let's go. Okay, guys, before we begin, I want to express something to you. This is going to take at least 160 to 200 hours before you're job ready. And you're going to have to put time in. From my past experience, it takes students at least 160 to 200 hours of individual study. And it's usually, it takes about 5 to 6 months of self-study. I always tell my students at least give me 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. If you are a bookworm and you can study, you can shrink this down. If you're capable of doing 40 hours a week, then hey, you can do it in 5 weeks. But I don't expect people to do that. I know people have lives and different things like that, but if you are driven, that's the cutoff point. You want to at least give it 200 hours minimum. All right. Now, the first skill or technology that you need to be comfortable with to become a data analyst is Excel, right? You have to give it, this is your first win when you do get this skill set. You don't have to be the drunken master of Excel, but you do need to be competent in understanding of pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, X lookups, cleaning up messy data. You just need to be comfortable around Excel spreadsheets. The next skill set that I would advise you guys to learn outside of Excel would be SQL, aka structured query language. This is a gatekeeper or a make or break skill that you have to have as a data analyst. SQL is something that data analysts use pretty much every day. And just about every job posting that you see will have SQL as a necessity, right? So you need to know select statements. You need to know where clauses. You need to know joins. You need to know group by, window functions, string functions, CTEs, views. You need to be familiar with store procedures. You need to be familiar with all of the constructs that a developer would probably use. And it won't hurt to understand the principles of performance tuning to a certain extent, right? These are different things that as a developer, you would probably need to know, and as a data analyst. When you go on a lot of these interviews, you will be, asked a lot of questions that they probably would ask a database developer. One of the things we do at Lifting the Veil is we give our students note cards already pre-made, and so that they can answer those questions and memorize. Not just memorization, obviously you do want to have the hands-on skills, so don't just focus on just learning the head knowledge of SQL. You want to actually grab it and work with it. Download SQL Server Management Studio, get a SQL Server Express Edition as far as your database engine, and really start kicking the tires. Get you some scripts. We give you scripts, but if you want, you can get your own with AdventureWorks 2012, 2016, whatever. Get those databases and really start digging into, the crates, if you will, and start really running these queries so that you can understand how the language moves, how it works, so that you can really not be intimidated when, say, for example, you're creating a report for a dashboard and you have this stored procedure that's 500 lines long. So if you see certain constructs within that stored procedure, you can at least already understand what they are and what they mean and what they do. And if you understand line by line what each construct does, you can always decipher what code does, right? I know one question you guys might be asking is, don't you have to know Python as well? And the answer is, it helps, but it's not necessary. Oftentimes, many of these jobs and many of my students have been able to land jobs just knowing SQL. So will Python help? Yes, it will, but it's not a necessity. All right. Now on to the next skill set, which is Power BI or Tableau, right? And I said, or. Would it help to learn both? Obviously it would, but primarily a lot of my students have chosen Power BI and they've been able to land data analyst roles just learning either or. So That's what I would say. So do you need to learn everything? No, you just need to pick one tool, build dashboards. Employers care that you can actually tell a story with the data, not, about everything, right? They want you to tell a story. They want you to be able to understand and speak to that experience. So I would say pick one. If you're just getting started, just pick one of them, and then you'll be able to transition into the next. Okay, so now we're getting to the next segment, which is the projects/portfolio segment. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? Yes, should you get certifications? I bet many of you are saying, well, should I get a certification? It helps. But I will tell you this. Projects and hands-on experience trumps a certification any day. So if you're able to get some real-world data, create real business problems, and give a solution, and be able to speak to that authoritatively and talk about that experience extensively, then you will be able to be a member of a team and really be able to contribute to that team. So what employers really want to see is that you have problem-solving skills and that you understand real-world issues and how to apply these skill sets that we've worked on in a real business setting. So real projects, I would say at least 2 to 3. And you also want to place these projects in a place where they're clickable, they can be demonstrated, and employers can see them. Now we're getting to one of my favorite parts of this, and this is the interview prep. Let me go ahead and tell you guys this. You want to record yourself. Remember earlier I mentioned that you guys need note cards, right? What you want to do is you want to record yourself answering these note cards. Why? Because oftentimes many people that are inexperienced, they get in these interviews and they sound like a junior developer, right? Wording, knowing the right wording, phrases, or jargon will make you stand out in an interview. And you can sound like a senior developer or you can sound like a junior developer. For example, and I'm gonna give you just a hypothetical. Let's say you have a 12-year-old kid, he's never driven a car, and you ask him to describe how to drive a car, right? They're gonna stumble. They're gonna struggle on certain things. Whereas if you ask somebody that's been driving for 25 years how to drive a car, they can tell you, and you can tell the difference in how this person has driven, this person hasn't. And so that it's the same with interviewing. You have to know how to sound competent. So you need to hear yourself answer questions. So you need to record yourself. There are many apps you can download, voice recorder in your Google store or your iPhone store. Just go ahead and download a voice recorder, take the note cards, read the question, and then answer the question. And then it becomes part of you. And once those questions become part of you, then you sound competent and you know what you're doing. Also, now I tell people this all the time, record your actual interviews if possible. Why? Because what you want to do is hear where the nervousness and the jitters got to you and how you stumbled over wording and different things. Because when you're in an interview, you may study, but when someone's dangling, $50 or more an hour on a job, you may get a little bit more nervous. So you do want to practice, and you also want to record yourself. Now, obviously, don't just share this information with everyone, but like I do with my students, I actually have interviews that I play of myself that, I say, this is how an interview sounds. This is what so you actually are able to know what to expect, and then you start feeling more confident. Now, like I said, you don't just share a lot of this information. I cut off the names of the companies and things just to show the students this is what it's like to be on an interview. That's what we do at Lifting the Veil. But even still, regardless of whether you come to Lifting the Veil or not, make sure you record your interviews. It is imperative. Now the final step comes up, and that step is the job hunt itself. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and tell you guys that even after you put your 200 hours in, even after you've done all the self-study and done everything you need to do, expect 8-9 months of applying for jobs. Why? Because what you don't want to do is assume, okay, I did everything, we're going to go out here and get a job in a week. Have I had students do that? Yes. But you should expect to apply for 30, 40 jobs a day on different websites. You need to keep track of them in a spreadsheet, and you need to be applying for as many jobs as you can. every day. And you need to think like this for months. Eventually the phone will ring and people will call you. Your resume is another thing that you need to make sure is on point. So your resume, I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you guys a little secret. A lot of recruiting firms, they use AI now. So a lot of times, in order to avoid your resume getting spit out from their algorithm, the best thing to do is to go to like a website template or somewhere where your resume can match up with certain things. We do this. We do help our students at Lifting the Veil IT Academy. Feel free to reach out to me. The website's www.ltvacademy.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you. Have a blessed day.